All right, good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We are live in the Bank Plus studio. Dogs Rebs win, and Hugh Freeze is fired. Georgia won. It looks like they sleepwalk against everybody. And Kirby just can't get them going. And they're not dominant like they were 5 years ago. And so, I mean, they're good. Okay, they have good players. But they're far, far from what we watched, Bama and Georgia 6 years ago. Jackson, I just, they flip it on. And I guess they're just not interested. The kids know that Florida's not good and they have an interim coach. And it's just not the sizzle there, right, wrong, or indifferent. And then when they need to, they go make a play.
Right. That's coaching.
Lack
of.
I'm not sure I'm ready to go there with Kirby yet, but maybe, especially with him winning 89% of his games.
So did Dabo.
It did. Kirby still is. Remember, Kirby went to the college football playoff last year.
I know. I keep forgetting.
He won the SEC championship game after having a disappointing year.
Crazy.
I mean, I get that he talked about how it wasn't a good year and they missed and da-da-da, but, I mean, it's not like they sat at home.
No.
Like LSU.
Wow. Easy.
What?
Don't be mean to them.
Hey, couple different ways that you can get in touch with us. I got to get into the Shape and Camario thing. Couple different ways that you can get in touch with us. The Golden Moon Casino text line is 601-885-3776. Twitter X at Bowbounds, brought to you by Superior Foundation. French drains, foundation repairs, driveways, superior.ms. And your Key City Beer caller line is 601-707-3750. Yes, Taste Italian Kitchen has amazing sandwiches. I was lucky enough to get to be a tester of like 28 sandwiches for the menu. It was a 2-day deal. Only Craig. Seriously, we did it months ago before Taste even opened in Ridgeland, and they were open in Starkville. So we met 2 days in a row. I drove up to Stark. What else am I going to do?
Yeah, I mean,
this is research.
20 sandwiches, 20 sandwiches.
And we tasted like, I don't know, 13 or 14 one day or 13 or 14 the next day.
They said it was about 27 or something like that.
Yeah, it was
ridiculous.
It was incredible.
How does one cleanse their palate in between sandwiches?
Well, so I had a little aperitif going on.
Okay.
And then I realized that I started off with a Stella, and then I realized that I may need to go into like some wine, because if you're going to eat that much,
heavy.
Yeah, you kind of need a digestive. Yeah. So it worked out great.
That sounds like it worked out pretty well.
I mean, we were getting like, little squares of the sandwiches, and you would take a couple of bites, but it was fantastic. One of them was at like 10 o'clock in the morning, which was awesome.
Breakfast sandwich.
Because, I mean, I'm hungry.
Right.
And those sandwiches have a lot of protein in them. All right, back to Shape. Sorry. Golly, I start talking about food.
Sandwiches are good.
And then I go a whole nother direction. Let's get back into Shaping and Camario. So everything's going against Lebby and Mississippi State. You're on the road, and you're not sure exactly what's going to happen over the next few weeks. And you need to get a conference win, because there's a lot of people who thought that if you go 0-16, it's going to be impossible to sell that to the fan base. And I don't blame those people. And I'm not saying that where they are now is a great sell, but it's a win. And you're down by 14, and Shapen gets knocked out of the game, and Camario Taylor, who's a true freshman. Now, we've watched other true freshmen not play well.
Yeah.
Okay? That are highly recruited. Because it's hard. Hard position to play. You're new. Camario Taylor comes in and leads Mississippi State to 2 touchdowns.
Big time. Needed. Yeah, I mean, does Lebby need to go ahead and sign over some of that check?
Well, they're going to have to pay him a fortune to keep him. We already
are.
knew that, though,
Sure.
even without that game. But
Right.
believe me, everybody else watched it. Everybody's trying to get him to go in the portal and poach him. I think the Mississippi State Bulldogs are going to be fine with him.
Yeah.
Okay, for a variety of reasons that I'm not going to get into. But the bottom line is Shapen didn't mope.
No.
He didn't have bad body language.
Oh.
He watches this happen in front of him. And then Lebby, I give Lebby credit here. He's like, look, to win the game, we're going to have Blake.
Right.
I mean, what Camario's done is unbelievable. But to win the game, we're going to have Blake Shapen. Puts him back in. A lot of people thought that was crazy. I get it.
Yeah.
And it worked. Shapen goes 8 for 12 for almost 130.
Oh,
yeah.
He looked great.
120. It was unbelievable.
That was one of them moves that you make it. You look very, very smart if it works.
Well, it did.
It did work.
And yeah, look, Anthony Evans is a transfer from Georgia who's got a lot of shake. He's fit. He may not be tall, but he's a physical player. And he makes that catch and breaks 3 tackles, and you get pay dirt. Mississippi State fans get to enjoy a conference win, which they deserve but haven't been given as many as they should the last couple of years, right? And both can work, by the way. This is what we've been saying all year.
Play him.
You can play both.
Yeah.
You gave Arkansas a totally different look that they just never got comfortable with. Chris Wilson's the defensive coordinator at Arkansas. He was at Mississippi State under Mullen. We've talked about Chris over the years. He was at State under Mullen for a couple of years. He wasn't one of the better DCs. Jeff Collins was Mullen's best DC. Then you can kind of make a Manny Diaz, then Todd Grantham. But I don't guess he was terrible either. I think it was that 2012 year, I want to say, when Tyler Russell was starting. And you didn't have a lot of mobility kind of like this year for Mississippi State. But the bottom line is it worked, and you can play both now because coaches like Lebby, I'll give Lebby credit here, coaches like Lebby do so much on offense, they can play 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
In 1987, you couldn't. Most people didn't have a good quarterback. 2 coaches were running the same 6 plays. Everything was played between the hash marks and the tackles. They didn't even believe in getting out on the sideline unless it was, John Bond and Michael Haddix, which was awesome, running the option. But today, you can do this. So I don't understand the debate on the debate is they both played well, you won.
Yep.
That's it.
There's no debate.
They both made plays. Camario looked amazing. Blake Shapen made some throws after getting his bell rung, which was impressive, by the way. So it was a good win.
It was.
And I know Ole Miss and Mississippi State, neither one of them played good teams, but you won. You know what? There were other teams that didn't play good teams this weekend that didn't win.
Clemson.
Thank you. Auburn.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, Kentucky's god-awful.
What?
They let Mark Stoops go into Auburn and win 10-3. You thought Tuberville Croom 3-2 was bad. Oh, my gosh. You thought that set football back 50 years.
Yes.
Of course, Croom and Ogeron's offense did set football back 27.5 years, didn't it?
Yep.
Steve Robertson at 8:30. Tom Luganville at 9:30. All right. Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Dogs win, Rebs win. Ole Miss has a layup this weekend against the Citadel. Mississippi State will host Georgia. Jackson Meadows doesn't even think they have a shot. I do, but we'll get to that later in the week, and we'll see how that looks to close out the year. Ole Miss has the Citadel in Florida at home, week off at Mississippi State, right? And Mississippi State to close out the year has Georgia at home, at Missouri, week off, host Ole Miss. So that's what you're looking at down the stretch. And I know y'all are talking about some other matchups as far as the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got a lot of ball left to play to see what happens there and who ends up in it. And I know A&M's in the.
Oh yeah,
they're the one without a loss, right. Whereas Ole Miss only has one, Georgia only has one. You know, that type of deal. Oh, Auburn.
Texas.
I'm sorry. Bama doesn't have a conference loss.
That's right.
So
Texas has one conference loss.
Yeah. They lost to Ohio State, then they lost to.
So one.
Yeah.
Huh. Are they? I mean, are they really going to be able to make a viable run for the playoff here?
Yes, they could. They still have A&M, as you know.
Right.
They still have Georgia.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's down the stretch here could get interesting for a number of teams. Yeah. But my point in all that is, Ole Miss is in the catbird seat for the college football playoff. Okay, and A&M.
I mean, aren't they kind of in the better position than A&M? A&M's got to go play in the SEC championship. They don't if they keep where they're at, right?
Well, you're right. I mean, we could run the numbers on that SEC championship. You know,
why?
Kirby said, you know, they played in it last year. They beat Texas. They won it. Took them into the college football playoff.
Sure, but what happened there?
I know. That was coming off of that
brutal
8 overtime game against Georgia Tech. They had to play in the SEC championship game the next week.
Yeah.
And, you know, right?
I don't want nothing to do with it. Give me that. I'd love to rest. Big fan of resting.
What if you rest and get a bye?
There's your move. They'd have to. That would have to. A&M would need to lose. Yeah.
I mean, Texas still plays at Georgia and plays A&M.
Right.
I don't think they're going to make it because they don't have another loss to give.
Sure.
And they already have 2 losses. I think they're out.
But they could also play.
I mean, they've come back and won games, and I give them credit.
Yep.
But
the spoiler role.
You can't lose to Florida.
They got a massive role and a massive hand in being a spoiler. They could clip Kirby. Why couldn't they?
They could at Georgia.
Talent.
I think that's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
What do you?
Because when Georgia's D wants to play, it's a different deal.
Yeah.
It is. And I thought Ohio State, and that's one that Ole Miss and people that are going to the college football playoff keep an eye on. If you're A&M, Ole Miss, Bama, Georgia, I thought Ohio State looked nasty in the LOS line of scrimmage, baby.
They're good.
I understand Penn State has an interim coach and all that, but Ohio State is big and physical, and I think it's about when you get into the playoffs. We know it's about, do you have just a little more depth in a day and age where this is all watered down? And 2, can you run the football when it gets colder and colder and colder? And how long is Ohio State going to play up in that area? And you don't want to go up there. Tennessee went up there and got slapped last year. And I know Tennessee couldn't move the football on offense. They were just a defensive-driven team. Last year with Nico not ready. However, Ohio State just turned on the Jets as far as running the football with that 2-headed monster of a 1st and 2nd round pick with Henderson and Judkins. But it's also going to be health. You could be rolling, and in a quarterfinal game, you get the wrong guy knocked out, you're done.
That team is so good.
Well, they were. They needed a wake-up call, and they got punked by Michigan, and then they decided to beat everybody on the way out.
Oh, I'm talking about this year's. Yeah.
Credit to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Now, what's Auburn going to – you got what? Oh, I'm sorry. Wes is right. I watched Indiana. I know they played a terrible team just like Ole Miss and Mississippi State over the weekend, but when you beat people and you have game control, that impresses everybody. And that's a good point, Wes. Indiana is nasty, and I don't know how they did it. They are nasty in the line of scrimmage. Just physically whip you. And Kurt Signetti takes no prisoners. And Fernando is another great, we talk about Chambliss being a great pickup in the portal. Fernando is an unbelievable pickup for Indiana. From Cal Berkeley? Yeah. I mean, that's almost like Ferris State. I mean, Cal Berkeley's more worried about saving beach whales and marijuana than winning football games.
Smart.
And so, right? We got to make sure we protect the beach mice.
Right.
And whatever else is going on.
Maybe if they just give the whales some marijuana, we'll be all right.
I'm sure they are doing that.
Okay, good. Good for them. Good for the whales. The whales need love, man.
Are you okay today? People are mad at you. People usually don't get upset with you. Man. They get mad at me.
It's on them.
And people were not happy with you not appreciating that a bunch of players have been working their tail off and they got a conference win.
I appreciate them working, and I appreciate them, putting it all out there. They didn't. I mean,
I think you're going down the wrong road.
It's Arkansas.
I think winning's hard. I think the NFL.
It is.
Did y'all see how many one possession games were in the NFL yesterday?
Yeah, it was a bunch.
Oh my God! And now we get this in college football. Isn't this crazy? High school football is driven by blowouts. College football was driven by blowouts. We still love it. NFL is not driven by blowouts, and now college football is not driven by blowouts.
Yeah, I get it. Winning is hard until you look over to Nashville. The boys know how to win. They came out winning real quick. They've won multiple SEC games.
Who, Vandy?
Yeah.
Well, they got punked this weekend, but Texas has more talent,
better team,
top 5 classes, and so on. And they were they made a comeback. You know what that also tells me? Now the games are not over. It's like the NFL.
Ah, yeah.
Do you notice how the NFL can go, like one team can be out of it for 3.5 quarters, and then all of a sudden they can go win it, score a bunch?
Right.
Now we're seeing that. We didn't see that in college football. Like when you had a 17 to 21 point lead,
game,
it was curtains.
Typically.
Vanderbilt scored and said, man, we got this thing figured out.
They almost came on back.
And then, but they didn't. Texas won.
I can't believe
Sark has been scared by Mississippi State and Vanderbilt in the last 2 weeks.
It should have lost. I mean,
well, you should have lost to MSU.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again,
because he's trash, man. He's not a good. I don't know why. Why is he such a good coach to everybody? He's not that good.
Earth Smart Lawn says, stay true to yourself, Jackson.
I am all day.
Okay.
Yeah. Staying true to disliking Texas and Sark.
I agree with Bradley. What State did was huge. They could have folded. They didn't. They've come back to keep it interesting. Every game, Jackson needs to relax. I agree. Jackson needs to relax.
Win 2 of them. He's going to go 1-24.
Aquatic Waves says Signetti versus Lane in the playoffs. Spot the ball and let's go.
It's going to be heat.
RT says Sark is total trash.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Line them up.
People are, is it the time change?
Hey, yeah, maybe so.
People are a little more, you too, a little grumpy this morning.
Oh, I'm grumpy.
We'll see where Steve Robertson is. GenesPage.com. 247 Sports. Coming up next on the Out of Bounds Show. Lunch today brought to you by Burgers Blues Barbecue. Dogwood Flowwood. It's Chicken Fried Chicken Day. And good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Brought to you by Kessler Prime and the Renaissance, KesslerPrime.com to make a reservation. KesslerPrime.com. Steaks, bourbon, vino. Don't forget that you can find Elijah Craig, award-winning Elijah Craig bourbon at Briarwood Wine and Spirits, 4949 Old Canton Road. We want to welcome you in as we're recapping the weekend, and it's a good time to bring on Steve Robertson, Gene's Page, 247 Sports. Mississippi State gets the conference win. Steve, that was a wild game. I did not have that on my scorecard, that Mississippi State was going to get down, Chapin was going to get knocked out of the game, Camario was going to come in, play really well, and then Chapin was going to finish it out and play really well. How impressed? Everybody knows how talented and what Camario could be, and God knows we love to talk about it. But how impressed were you with how well he played considering the moment?
I'd like to say I'm surprised, but I'm not. You know, if you've been around him and watched him play high school football, he is a gamer. I mean, people throw that term around, but Camario is the kind of guy that exudes confidence and expects to win, expects to convert big third downs, and so I wasn't surprised to see that. Now, that second possession he came out, he was a little amped up, right? And that's something that you expect with freshmen. There's going to be a little up and down with young guys, but you know, he missed high a little bit on a couple of those, and one of those should have been picked. But I thought he came back that third drive, and you could tell he was a lot more relaxed. I think the first time he goes out there and it's just read and react, right? He didn't have time to think about it. And then all of a sudden you're on the sidelines and you're thinking, oh, okay, I'm on the road in an SEC game that we've got to win. I got to perform. And I thought that second drive was a little bit what you'd expect from a freshman, but I thought the third drive was outstanding. And Mississippi State doesn't win that football game without Camario coming in at a difficult time and kind of settling himself and settling the team. And then, of course, Blake comes in and leads you to 17 unanswered in the fourth. But, yeah, that was the thing. When I asked Levy about that in postgame, it felt like we played 3 games. I mean, that's how it felt. I mean, it was just so much drama. But as far as the scoring goes, you know, it's pretty typical of what the Petrino experience has been this year. I mean, all 4 of those games that he's been the head coach, they have done some really nice things offensively and then struggled to get stops late defensively. And somebody had to win the game, and fortunately for all of us, it was Mississippi State.
And so people were freaking out when when Levy put Chapin back in. And Levy's made plenty of mistakes because he's in a massive, learning curve here as no experience as a head coach. But man, that was a grand slam call, Steve, to put Chapin back in. And like you said, I think he went 8 of 12 for 120 and change on the way out. What'd you see?
Yeah, and when they first put him back in, I was like everybody else. I wasn't freaking out, but I was like, well, this is interesting. Why not ride the hot hand, right? And I think that would have probably been the temptation of many coaches. But he trusted his starter. There's a reason that Blake Chapin is the starter. And, of course, he comes in and has the first pass he throws, go off the hands of Anthony Evans into the waiting arms of a defender, but came back and settled it in. But, Anthony Evans did not have a great first half. And then the second half of that ball game, I thought he was absolutely outstanding. And he said in postgame, I didn't think the first part of the game I played up to my abilities. And I agree with him. I think that's good self-awareness. But, with that play at the end, and I even kind of likened it to the Michael Crabtree catch against Texas years ago. I mean, it's like Anthony Evans was not going to be denied. And I think that last hit where he just lowers his helmet and just powers through the third tackler to get the end zone. It was 1-on-3 out there, and Anthony Evans won.
Steve Robertson, genespage.com. His site is on fire. 247 Sports. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Levy gets his first conference win. Had to have it. If the game goes a different way, I think we're having a totally different conversation and discussion this morning. But he made the right call. Camario goes in, as Steve walked us through, has success. And then he puts Chapin back in, and they win the game. Steve, if I would have told you that Arkansas runs for 239 on the ground and Mississippi State couldn't get anything going with Fluff and Booth, and that their only rushing option for the day was going to be Camario, if I tell you all that before the game and they only go for 106, what would you have said?
I figure they lost football game, and that's really, in hindsight. But the one real question you have is, what did Arkansas do to kind of slow down the running game? Because they have not been good against the run at all. But man, they had a handful of TFLs, and listen, I get Mississippi State's kind of got to play musical chairs without Albert Reese. Again, who is Mississippi State's best offensive lineman. I don't think there's any question. So you take that guy out, for any team, there's going to be, some adjustments you got to make. But, I give Arkansas some credit. I mean, I'd like to know, maybe we'll ask Jeff about that today. It's kind of, what they do that kind of confused you, because it just felt like State couldn't get anything going offensively. And Petrino said in postgame, it was a problem when they put Camario in because they hadn't prepared for him. And all of a sudden, you put him you got to count for him in the run game. It kind of throws your game plan out the window. And I think that's one of the reasons he was so successful, is they just simply weren't prepared for him.
Steve Robertson on ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by the Muffaletta at Older Brother Bistro in Starkville. Okay, Evans was awesome. You're right. Look, you know what I thought was impressive? Steve, I'd like for you to weigh in on this. Evans and Thompson both had drops that you could have gone, oh, damn. Yet, because they're veteran players, they played at Oklahoma and Georgia, they never flinched. They made plays late. How about Brennan adjusting on that ball late before Evans scores, Steve?
It almost gets lost, right? Because so many plays had to be made down the stretch. But that's a fourth down conversion. The game's over if Brennan doesn't make that adjustment. And I don't know if anybody was more excited than Chad Bumpus, and you can kind of see his reaction on the sidelines. You talk about a guy that roots hard for his guys. It's Bump, and he was like that as a player. So it shouldn't be a surprise. But Brennan Thompson is probably the second most important player on this team. And not just because of what he does to the defense, what he influences the defense to do, because they've got to account for his speed getting over the top, and then all of a sudden he's making, basically this back shoulder catch and, setting up the game-winning score. This guy's a gamer. Mississippi State did a great job, and a great job by Jeff Lebby getting him on board.
Yeah, credit to Jeff Lebby and Mark Votler. Votler, to me, is kind of the unsung hero of this thing, especially if a couple of those games go the other way earlier. But they still got a shot to win a game or two on the way out. With what Camario did, people have been screaming for him to get a few more plays or reps throughout the year. Now, with what happened, even though Shapen's fine health-wise, do you expect to see more Camario against Georgia, Missouri, and Ole Miss, Steve?
I think you have to. And I think a lot of it, we talked about this after A&M, and I asked Lebby in postgame then, when the game had been decided, right, what would it have hurt to give Camario a series, right? just to let him get out there and kind of get his feet wet. And listen, I'm not ever one that wants to concede a game, but when that game's decided, I thought that may have made a little sense. And, Lebby didn't see it that way, and that's his right. He's the coach. But I think now that you've seen that maybe he can handle a little bit more, maybe you expand the package a little bit and give, again, kind of like the Brennan Thompson effect, you give opponents something else to prepare for. And then because you've done so little with him at times, there's some wrinkles that you can employ that they hadn't seen, maybe perhaps in red zone or short yardage situations. But, that post route that he threw wasn't perfect, but, man, it was almost absolutely perfect. The read, the pace, getting the ball out on rhythm, throwing it out where only his guy could catch it. Evans has to make one little tiny adjustment, and he's in the end zone. You put that on film, and all of a sudden when he walks in the ball game, now defensive coordinators are like, wait a minute, we can't just get ready for basically a wildcat package. This kid can hurt us down the field. And I think that's a great thing to get on film.
The Mississippi State defense had a tough day stopping the run. What do you know about Manning and some of the other guys that were either bumps and bruises or injuries? Have you heard anything, Steve?
I've heard that there's not anything of real significance, and so that could be a week-to-week thing. Brian Lanier came back in the ball game.
Right.
And people were asking me yesterday, so I went back and looked, and so much is going on, it's tough to know. But he did go back in the ball game. I think we all saw the video of Jerron Manning dancing around the locker room. So perhaps it's not anything too significant, but we'll see what kind of happens with Reese. But, and that's one of the things, too, you look at. Auburn and Durkin had so much success against Arkansas with the drop 8. And they're better up front than Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And I think State tried to employ some of that same defensive scheme and just didn't quite have the personnel up front to pull some of that off. But you could tell early in that ball game, Green couldn't read. He couldn't find the pocket. And so I think that was good. But what they did to counter is like, hey, they go run 3-man fronts, let's run it off the edges, and they did. And it took State a little while to kind of slow that thing down. And I thought one of the biggest plays in the ball game is right after the turnover, they run that end around play and get down in the red zone, and you could just kind of feel the game was getting away from State. It just kind of felt like it. It's like, okay, they had the lead and the ball. Oh, now they got it in the red zone. You could just feel the taste of victory in the Hog faithful. I mean, you could just feel it. Like, okay, this is the moment. And how many Mississippi State teams in the past would have folded? And I think one of the things you've got to give Jeff Levy credit for this year and last year is those guys never quit. You know what? They may not always execute at a high level. They may miss a tackle, may have a drop every now and again, but they never quit. And I think that was paid off for this past weekend. And you could, again, make the argument State could easily be 8-1. I said maybe easily is the wrong word to use there, but State probably should be 8-1 right now. I mean, A&M is the only team that's really gotten after State and just kind of overwhelms them. Every other game has been a possession game. The ball bounces one way or another. You may be playing for something of real significance. And I think getting the win Saturday just kind of validates the trajectory that Levy has the team on.
Steve Robertson on the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Could I argue that the play of the game was the roughing the kicker by Arkansas, Steve?
I thought it was very significant, but I think he also missed because of that traffic in the pocket back there.
Fair enough.
It's kind of like it, and I saw people upset about the one where he dunked it, and the guy was 10 yards offsides, and like even the people were booing, and I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you upset about? I mean, he was unabated, but that's football. But I haven't rewatched the full game yet, but I see a lot of people that are upset about some of these penalties, and yes, there were a lot, but I think it's really more of a product of how undisciplined Arkansas played. And when things got chippy, they didn't handle it well, and Mississippi State did.
True.
They didn't respond, and because that's what happens, right? You respond, they're offsetting, or it's the second guy that gets flagged. Arkansas played undisciplined. Bobby Petrino was undisciplined. He's flagged. Hunter Yurachek runs on the field at the end of the game. But everybody's just upset because you just want to win a football game because it changes so much, right? Hunter Yurachek is under fire at Arkansas. Bobby Petrino wants that job and hadn't won a game, so he's been the interim coach. You got guys that are playing to extend the season and hopefully be bowl eligible. So there was a lot of emotion in the game, and Arkansas just simply didn't handle that well.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look. For the Reds, 18 penalties for 193 yards. Just unbelievable. And Mississippi State Mississippi State has had their issues, right? Big time. And they only had 4 penalties, Steve. I mean, credit to the players and Levy and so on.
Sure. Well, it's like that Hunter Washington thing. When he rode that guy out of bounds, I said, that'll be a flag. And then they pick it up. We see the replay in the booth. I mean, he's engaged about 1.5 yards before the white, and then the action. 2 guys running wide open, SEC athletes. I mean, you're going to go to the ground, and it's probably a judgment call, but he didn't hit him in the white. And I think that's the thing you look at. And they talk about these roughing the passer penalties. The one at the end of the game, not only should there have been holding on Arkansas, but the Arkansas center gets beat on the play and then trips Mississippi State defensive lineman, reaches out, grabs his foot, and trips him. And then, Nave Sanders runs him down and forces the incompletion, and they're wanting a personal foul there. You guys, the game of football is physical. Guys get hurt. You guys tackle each other. It's not two-hand touch. And that was the emotion of that moment. But, it's so interesting about, this got called and this didn't get called. It is absolutely crazy to go back and look at some of that game and see the penalties that weren't called. on Arkansas. So I don't think this is a thing where, you look at and say that we didn't play well because of the officials. No, you didn't play well because you played undisciplined.
Right. But Bobby Petrino's always been undisciplined. I mean, he is he's a brilliant play caller, and he dialed up. I mean, like we just talked about, they went for almost 240 on Hutzler and Mississippi State on the ground, but he's always been, very talented play caller, but undisciplined. All right, look into this weekend. I know it's early in the week. Y'all posted, 90 different things on the game and recaps and so on. So the line was 7.5. I don't know if it's jumped, and Jackson hadn't looked and told me, but it's an 11 a.m. game. I don't think Georgia's going to be interested. Is there a shot to take this bad boy into the fourth quarter this weekend against Georgia?
Yeah, you hope so. And I remember when all this first started, like when the schedule first comes out, you do your first little snapshot, you begin it because everybody wants to write all this stuff down. This is, in many respects, a trap game for Georgia. Yeah,
because they have Texas next weekend. Yeah,
exactly. Then you're home at Texas, so you got to go on the road. You're sandwiched between Florida and Texas, right? A team that made the playoff. A huge game, right? And then you got to take a road trip at 11 a.m. to Mississippi State, a team that arguably is the most improved team in this conference. And a fan base that is happy to finally get an SEC win. Let's be honest, Bo, if State lost to Arkansas, there wouldn't be anybody there this weekend.
Yes, you're right.
There will be now.
Yes.
Right? And so I've always liked where Georgia fell on State's schedule. And if I'm Georgia, I don't like that road trip in the middle of a couple road games. I mean, a couple, basically rivalry games. These are home games. But,
sure.
That whole Texas-Georgia thing last year was crazy, Yeah. And so in the middle of all that, I gotta go face the Cowbell Nation, and that, SEC Nation's going to be there and all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be a wild weekend in Starkville, and it's going to be 11 a.m. And I remember talking to Derek Sherrod years ago for an article. And he goes, man, I loved being the home team for 11 a.m. game. I hated being the road team. And he said, being the road team 11 a.m., you don't know where everything is, right? I mean, you got to get up. Like, you get on a plane. As soon as you get there, you're going through meetings, you go to bed, and then you got to get up, and you got to get taped up, and your whole schedule's wrecked, and you're in an unfamiliar place. And he goes, man, it takes a quarter just to kind of wake up and even realize you're in a football game. He said it's very difficult on the road team. And so, maybe there's some factors here that help Mississippi State. Number one, Georgia's not as good as they were last year, but they're great. Don't get me wrong. But you look at them offensively; they're not putting up points with the same, frequency. And I think Mississippi State's got a puncher's chance here to make this thing really interesting.
Steve Robertson, genespage.com, 247 Sports. What time's Levy's thing today? 11?
11:30 ish.
Got it. Okay. So with the win, we could be having another discussion this morning. With the win, he's coming back. I think the question will be for a lot of people is, are they willing? Is this group willing to constantly upgrade, Steve? And there was a little bit of upgrading in the offseason, not a lot, but a little bit. I think they need to do a massive upgrade on the staff because this league is nasty and drives the whole thing. And if you're not always upgrading, then you're falling behind. He's coming back. What do you think on? And I know you're probably thinking about the next 3 games, but with him coming back, where do you stand with that?
I think you're always looking to upgrade in every aspect. Staff, roster, support staff, everything. Because if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. I mean, that's an old adage, but it's true. And with all of the attrition within the league that we're seeing, right now, Auburn's opened up, and you got some major jobs that are open. So I think if you're Mississippi State, number one, this is a kind of a best case scenario because Jeff Levy has obviously shown tremendous progress this year. You've already beaten the over-under. Now you're 1 game away from bowl eligibility, and really nobody can even honestly deny that this program is trending in the right direction. And many of your contemporaries are going through a coaching change, and there's more to come. there's more to come. You could have 8 teams in the Southeastern Conference with first-year head coaches next year. And so if you're Mississippi State, we think about all the progress that we've lost and how far we fell behind. Now you've got a chance to start getting caught up in many respects. And that's staff-wise, that's personnel-wise. I think it's going to be an absolutely wild portal season because you only get the one window, and you got so many different schools and teams that are starting over. And then you look up next year, Jeff Lebby and Mississippi State in year 3 of the Jeff Lebby era and system with more stability. And I think in some respects that's going to make Mississippi State a more attractive place for some coaches and players.
Okay. Auburn's open, as you know. You think in South Carolina and Kentucky?
I think there's a possibility. We'll see what happens with James Franklin and Virginia Tech. There's a big sentiment of people that want to bring Shane to Virginia Tech. And I think South Carolina would probably be okay with that, right? I think South Carolina's like, you know what, Shane's done some good things here. Love Shane and his family to death. But I think it could be a scenario where maybe if James Franklin decides, you know what, I'm not going to take Virginia Tech, I'm going to keep fishing because I can afford to. I think it gives Beamer a chance to get back to where he probably should always have been. It gives him a chance to reset the clock a little bit and gives South Carolina a chance to make a change. I think that could be a win-win-win for everybody. And then, of course, we'll see what happens up the road in Oxford. Lane Kiffin, arguably, I don't think there's any question, the hottest name in the coaching carousel right now. Mm-hmm. And then you'll see what happens with Eli Drinkwitz. So there's going to be some backfilling that goes on with all this stuff too. And so I think it's a great year for Mississippi State not to have to make a coaching change. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. But I think now Mississippi State's positioning is better now than it has been in some time, just because of the fact that you can easily argue that Mississippi State is trending in a very positive direction in the midst of all of this chaos.
How much time do we have? 30 seconds? Okay. I'm good with DJ Durkin as the next defensive coordinator at Mississippi State. I'll just leave it there. Steve, go to Steve's site, genespage.com, genespage.com, 247 Sports. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
See you.
All right. Dogs win against the Arkansas Razorbacks. The last SEC win was at Arkansas 2 years ago under Zach Arnett. So they've had their way, man, with Arkansas. They couldn't ever beat Houston Nutt when he was at Arkansas. They got one win against Houston Nutt while he was there. He owned Mississippi State. That game was in between Bama and Ole Miss and just totally screwed up the whole Sherrill thing because Sherrill wanted to beat Bama, and he did. And you had the rivalry game on the back end. And Arkansas, they don't have rivals in the conference. And it just, damn, he owned that thing. And it was frustrating. Tom Luganville coming up at 9:30 on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line.
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's 9 a.m. and this ain't no kiddie show. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds.
All aboard!
As Mississippi's #1 morning show rolls on the Zone 105.9 and online at thezone1059.com.
Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Cover Source Solutions. Cover Source Solutions. HVAC and plumbing. That's important. HVAC and plumbing, powered by Cover Source Solutions. Want to say good morning. Thanks for making us your sports and entertainment show of choice.
I'll believe in Auburn and love it. War Eagle.
Hugh Freeze out, year 3, Auburn. So now it's a better job than Arkansas, but it's not near as good a job as LSU or Florida. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. A couple of different ways that you can hit us up on the Golden Moon Casino text line, 601-885-3776. Twitter X at Bo Bounds. Brought to you by Burgers Blues Barbecue in Dogwood Flowwood. Beautiful restaurant right there in Dogwood Flowwood. Burgers Blues Barbecue B3. And chicken fried chicken blue plate today, which is fabulous. But they also had the burgers and smash burgers and so on. B3 Dogwood Flowwood. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app, the Michelob Ultra caller line, 601-707-3750. Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer. I'd like to ask our listeners, what was your takeaway on the weekend? Your biggest takeaway? Whether it's as an Ole Miss fan, Mississippi State fan, or just an SEC fan. Are most of you going to go with Hugh Freeze never getting it going at Auburn? He had won at Arkansas State, at Ole Miss, and at Liberty. And fell slap on his face on the offensive side of the football at Auburn. They've been good on defense.
Yeah, very, very good.
They should have won a running ton of games the last 2 years. The way that defense has held people to 20 points or less.
Man. All those one-possession ball games.
All those last year, they were up several times in the second half, sometimes by double digits.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it going. What is Freeze's future? So he's still got a hell of a resume. Now, they didn't go. Here's one thing. He wasn't dropping 2 and 10s.
No.
He was somewhat close, okay?
Sure.
Does he have to go back to G5, or can he get into the Oklahoma State type mix? You know, Freeze in the Big 12, where they really want to play offense.
Yeah.
If he can, actually hit on a quarterback, which he never missed on a quarterback at Ole Miss.
Right. Never.
Bo Wallace, Chad Kelly. Hell, he signed Jordan Tiamo.
Yeah.
Who was he was a good player.
Tiamo was nice.
Yeah, he was a good player. He was following
straight.
that was Matt Corral and Jackson Dart, so you're a little skewed because those guys have serious star power.
Right.
But Jordan could play.
Yeah.
And he signed Shea, even though Shea didn't play that much, eventually tore his ACL and eventually but Freeze eventually got let go, but Shea popped his knee and then eventually went to Michigan. Right. Different staff, all that kind of stuff, whatever. But Malik Willis at Liberty, and I'm missing another one of the quarterbacks up there that was good. Malik got drafted in the NFL, as y'all know, by the Titans.
Yeah,
in like the 3rd round.
And he coached him from a hospital bed.
And that's a good point. He was beating people from a hospital bed at one point, and now he can't beat anybody from the sideline.
What's going on?
At home. Against Kentucky, who is awful.
That's so awesome.
He let Mark Stoops beat him 10-3. Magic Mike, Bo, would Mullen work for Cohen again? No. Mullen and Cohen do not like each other. It may be more Cohen, but cause I'm not sure Dan cares. But I know both of them and have a relationship with both. I would find it now. Every now and then, people
I didn't think
put that
Freeze
to the. Huh?
Didn't think he would hire Freeze either.
Well, he danced with Lane for weeks, and he danced with Freeze for weeks, and then he went with Freeze, and now Cohen's under an enormous amount of pressure.
Did he have an option to go the other way?
Some people will say that he did.
Really?
Magic Mike, would Mullen work for Cohen? I don't think John wants to hire Dan Mullen.
He does not.
And I don't know. You know how I asked you if Ed Ogeron, Jimbo Fisher, and John Gruden, like how much are they going to be bumped up? They should be way down. But how much are they going to be bumped up with all the jobs opening up? And if we start having musical chairs, some of them may have to go in the G. Like
Sure.
if Summerall, but not if. When Summerall goes wherever he's going to go, is that Eddie O? Is that a Gruden play for a Tulane? I don't know.
Somebody's going to get enamored.
Maybe. But also Dan Mullen, who I swear to God, he is happy as hell in Las Vegas. But at some point, if Penn State misses out on who they want, because if Dan's your floor, you're in a good spot.
What a floor.
I mean, if you're an athletic director this morning, you've got your board and you're in there with maybe one other person that you're confidant that you trust.
Right.
And you're in the conference room and it's closed. And you've got the board up and you're like, here are the two guys, here are the two grand slams. But the floor is Dan Mullen.
That's dope.
You're in a good spot.
Yeah.
But Dan, he's 6-2.
He's pluckable.
At UNLV. They love, like he went on and on about the cool neighborhood they live in, the golf, Cannon's travel ball team, and the fact he goes, Bo, the restaurants. I go, I know. He goes, we've got everything we want here. And I love that he said, I've got the NFL here, and that's big.
Yeah, that's true.
He said, having the Raiders in town is huge. And then he said, Bo, we're only an hour flight from LA. Yeah. Now, so Vegas is either the fastest growing city in the country or top 3, right?
Sure.
Nashville, Vegas, and a couple others.
Yeah.
Charleston, whatever. So you have to ask the question, what would it take to lift? Dan doesn't need money.
No.
Okay. His son is happy. Does he want him to go ahead and finish? He's a junior. Does he want him to finish his junior and senior year at one place? Yeah. Or if you're Cannon and you're really good, your game travels. Mullins, wherever if he stays, he's making millions. If he leaves, he's making even more millions.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, how good is the kid?
Oh, I'm not even. I can't go there. I don't know. I know he's been playing on a rock star team for years.
For a while, right?
But I don't know his.
He's not a hoop star, is he? What is he?
Yeah, hoop.
He is a hoop star.
Yeah, he was on that. Crazy team out of Atlanta.
Yeah.
And now they're connected. Of course, now all of AAU goes through Vegas.
Every bit of it. Well, he may be. Yeah, then that's it. Then if he's good enough, he might sit tight.
So my question is, with all the openings and more coming, what does that mean for Eddie O, for Gruden, for Dan Mullen? Like Dan may have said, yeah, I'm staying 99%. But if you get that one call,
right,
and a team has missed out, and that's a job that you can't not take, I don't know what that would be.
I'd be Penn State.
It may be. Now that is going from living in a place where there's a lot to do in Vegas, and I've been to Penn State. And while it is a big, big, big college town, it is in the middle of nowhere. Whereas Vegas, you've got all the golf, all the resorts. You've got NFL. You've got the NBA G League. You've got MLB coming. You know, all this.
Golly. They're popping. Why would you
So
leave?
how does that look for Mullen if things continue to, well, let's say he grabs another couple of wins?
That dude ain't going nowhere.
Or does he ride this out one more year at UNLV?
Yeah.
And then maybe starts to look? Or does he pull something that we just can't even fathom and stay out there for 5 or 6 years and then hang it up?
Yeah, what if he wins out there? And
But that's a city, he and Megan are built more major metropolitan. Tom Luganville coming up at 9:30. It's just for it. Good morning. We're looking back at the weekend, brought to you by Eye Care Professionals, Dr. Kurt Jeffries and the team, 2 locations on Lakeland Drive. Eye Care Professionals, cataract surgery, routine eye exams. Cataract surgery, routine eye exams, Eye Care Professionals. Let's take a look back at the weekend. Dabo and Clemson lose again. Hugh Freeze is out at Auburn after losing to Kentucky, which is mind-boggling how bad Mark Stoops and Kentucky are. Auburn lost 10-3. I think Jackson and I could go down there and get 12 points with that personnel. What's Derek Nix going to do? You're talking about an awesome assistant coach in college football. Hey, somebody's going to want to go poach, or you don't have to poach, want to go get Derek Nix or DJ Durkin off that staff. Both excellent coaches at Auburn. And who's the dude on the back end? Crime Dog. McGriff, who was Ole Miss's DC. He's not a DC, but he's a hell of a secondary coach. There's some good coaches on that staff, right? But as we look back at the weekend, brought to you by Eye Care Professionals, Mississippi State, Lebby gets a win. And Lebby, he pushed all the right buttons in the second half. Blake Shapen gets knocked out of the game. Kamario Taylor comes in, was unbelievable. And then he puts Shapen back in. The fan base is melting down at this point on social media. And Shapen's hot as a firecracker on the way out, 8 of 12 for 120-something with a TD. Right? Now, Brennan Thompson may have saved everybody's you-know-what. And Bobby Petrino with the 18 penalties for 193 yards. And on 4th down, Brennan Thompson adjusts to Blake Shapen throwing the ball short and catches the ball to give you an opportunity to win the game. Hell of a win for Lebby in Arkansas. And yes, if Lebby and Mississippi State had some other team schedules, they would have at least 2 more wins and be in position to, which would be 7, and be in position to possibly win 8 or 9. But you are, you get Georgia this weekend. So that's where you are. Looking back at the weekend, brought to you by Eye Care Professionals. Also, Mario Cristobal at Miami is arguably the best recruiter in the country. And I've always said he's a more refined Eddie O. Ed Ogeron. God help him, he can't coach. It's unbelievable. The guy is a warlord on the recruiting trail. And they got NIL like Ole Miss and Missouri and Texas Tech and Ohio State and Texas and others. And earlier, now everybody's in the mix, as we all know, almost, except Dabo. Dabo's out in the wilderness. Well, he's still thinking, but he's about to get out. He's either going to get out of the wilderness or he's going to be at the beach house. But yeah, Mario Cristobal losing to SMU, unbelievable. And Rhett Lashley signs a new deal at SMU to stay. Is he really off the table? It looks like it, but he would have been a good hire for the big dogs too, along with Lanning, Lane, Brom, and James Franklin. And which tells me that second tier of Drink and Mullen and Gruden and Eddie O and John Summerall, how is this going to look? This is Dabo Swinney after losing another game and losing to Duke.
Is this the most frustrating year you've had as head coach here at Clemson?
No, 2010. We put this one in 10, probably right there, those two. 10 was brutal. We lost 5 games by 6 points or less, 2 in overtime, and it was brutal. Walk-off kick. We down there at Auburn, they went on to win the national championship. We lead the whole game. They come back and tie it. We miss a kick late. We miss a wide-open play to win it in overtime. That was a really brutal year. And, lost at home here to South Carolina. Thought I was getting fired right here in this room, actually. I walked out right there and walked around. And Kath, may get fired today. Graham's sitting in the back there, so I don't know. Can't say I blame him. But, Yeah, my wife's waiting on me crying, and I walk in Terry Don's in the office, and I literally thought I was getting fired. And Terry Don Phillips, hugged me, and he said, "I believe in you more now than I ever did, and we're going to get this thing fixed, and you just keep being who you are." And that was a really low walking off the field that day. So I would say 2010, and then obviously this season, incredibly disappointing. The season's not over. I mean, we're gonna fight and battle and see if we can finish somehow, some way on a positive note. But this is, we've had 14 great years, but this is definitely the worst we've had since then.
Okay, so he jokes about his athletic director being in the room and
Ballsy.
if he's going to get fired. And he said, I can't say that I blame him.
Ballsy.
He needs to stop saying that.
Yeah.
That's just not going to resonate or work with the fan base. They could lose this weekend. I know Florida State hasn't been good, but they have players. And, Mike Norvell's kind of, what's happening here, right? I mean, I don't know at this point, y'all, how many more people are going to get fired. But it's already been crazy the last 15 years when all the money was pumped in TV-wise. Now it's even crazier because you can rebuild your roster in 1 year with the portal if you get the right guy. Mm-hmm. If you get Kurt Signetti or somebody like that,
Clark Lee.
John Summerall, it took him, he had been there several years, but you're right. I couldn't believe he wasn't fired the year before he was able to do it. But yes, he did lift all those guys from out west, and that was a hell of a deal. Here's my point with Dabo. Sounded defeated.
Yeah, he did.
When you listen to that.
No doubt.
We had a great 14 years. Sounds like he's talking about
past tense.
This thing is not, does he want to get fired and get paid? And then go coach somewhere else? He already told us a few weeks ago, I'm only 50, and I agree. Dabo looks great.
Yeah.
Taking care of himself, 55 years old. Wouldn't blame him for wanting to work another 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
That guy, you could tell he was like, I'm not done.
No.
And he will. Y'all can talk about how he hasn't embraced the portal over and over and over. He's getting hired, guys.
Yeah, buddy.
In 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't know what job. He's getting hired.
Definitely.
5 seconds. Now, he may decide to. Here's one thing about Dabo and his personality. He ain't going to sit out long.
No.
But he may sit out a year. But do you sit out a year when all the jobs open?
No.
Like if Lane stays, Ole Miss is going to be like, yeah.
Right.
Because all these jobs open, which means they're not going to open again for, at least a couple of years.
3 years, yeah.
Okay? We're now on a 2 to 3 year cycle here. If Lanning can't be lifted because it's $800 million to get him, then all of a sudden we're in the James Franklin, Jeff Brom from Louisville, John Summerall from Tulane, Dan Mullen at UNLV, John Gruden, Jimbo Fisher, Ed Ogeron, and some others.
That's so awesome.
Would you look at? Oh, and then you got Charles Huff at Southern Miss. If he knocks down 2 or 3 more W's,
watch it,
and things trickle up, opening up. I'm telling you, watch out.
Dude, he's gonna win those games.
Don't forget, Southern Miss was 1-11.
Yeah,
he's got a chance to throw down like 8 wins in year 1.
Correct. How?
Dan's only problem, and people still know he can coach, is that he walked into UNLV after Odom won 11 games.
Right.
It's not like they had gone 3-9. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. The Out of Bounds show is brought to you by Mills Contracting, assisted living facilities, renovating state parks, community centers, Mills Contracting in Gluckstadt. Matt Mills and the team with over 35 years of construction experience, assisted living facilities, strip malls, community centers, all powered by Mills Contracting. Mills Contracting in Gluckstadt. Call them today. Build your next project. Luganville next. I'm fired up about this. Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Our friend Tom Luganbill, National College Football Analyst with ESPN. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. The show is driven by your next GMC Sierra truck, GMC Yukon, Fowler GMC, Pearl Brandon, locally owned. FowlerGMC.com. We're going to drop some audio real quick. And then we're going to ask Tom Luganbill about it. This is Dabo Swinney after losing another game, and they lost to Duke over the weekend.
That was a really brutal year, and, lost at home here to South Carolina. Thought I was getting fired right here in this room, actually. I walked out right there and walked around, and Kath, may get fired today. Graham's sitting in the back there, so I don't know.
All right, so he was referencing his athletic director. I wouldn't have done that, but Dabo and Freeze do a little too much sometimes in press conference, say a little too much. Tom Luganbill, welcome to the show. If I would have told you that Clemson, with what we talked about in the offseason, everything they were bringing back, if I would have told you that they're 3-5, 2-4 in the ACC coming out of Week 10, what would you have said?
I would have said that T.J. Parker, Peter Woods, Sammy Brown, T.J. Moore, Cade Klubnik, and Bryant Wesco all got hurt in the first week of the season.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that should have happened.
So you have been close to this program for a long time. I mean, you've been in all these football buildings over the years.
Yeah.
But you live in that area. You have a lake house near that area. You've gotten to know a lot of these guys that have gone through and so on. What I get, I thought he went a little overboard on not embracing the portal. I'm not saying he has to sign 34 players a year, but 8 to 12, along with the high school recruiting that they do, which is excellent, may work out. Where are we going? Could you envision a scenario? Because he's talking about 14. We've had a good 14 years. Like, he's talking about stuff that happened in the past, almost like he's leaving, although he's not. Could you see a mutual parting of the ways just because it's been a long time and it doesn't look like it's working the last 2 years, Luke?
Well, to answer the question about the portal, the thing that's ironic about it is basically one of the best players on his team right now is a portal guy, and that's Will Help, the defensive end from Purdue. And so it kind of furthers your point that, maybe you get 4 or 5 of those, and you've really upgraded your roster, and you've brought it into what is a very healthy locker room, a very healthy foundation. They know exactly who they are. They've built it upon pillar upon pillar. So, I think he could maybe do a little bit more. I know what his worry is. His worry is that he brings people in and they don't buy in. They're not ingrained. They haven't known the Clemson way, and that worries about him. It worries him about team chemistry, and I get that. Like, I can see that. I think with him, I think when he speaks and he brings up, 12 ACC championships, 4 national championship games, 2 national championships, that, you guys all think it's so bad around here. And if you think the grass is greener somewhere else, by all means. And I get that too, Bo. Like, wouldn't you be frustrated if you were him with the body of work that you have? And then now all of a sudden you're not afforded a down year, like you're not afforded a year that, didn't go the way, that you were hoping or that you thought it would go. Now, some people may push back and say, well, what about James Franklin? He wasn't afforded that down year. Yeah, but James Franklin doesn't have the equity that Dabo Swinney has.
True.
And that's 2 different conversations.
It is.
And so I get where Dabo's coming from. And I don't think he's wrong, but the problem is nobody wants to hear it.
That's right.
Right? It doesn't matter. They don't care whose leg got broken. They don't care about an officiating call. It doesn't matter. But he's not wrong in saying, okay, well, it's just like Gus Malzahn at Auburn. Was I such a bad option? Because look at the place since I left.
Great point. No, look, we talk about this all the time. It's easy to fire someone, but the question is, can you go get someone? Can you upgrade? It's not
right.
The overwhelming majority of the time, it's not easy to upgrade. I can't tell me what you're seeing though from the team. I mean, you're right. It was one of the it was a top 3 program in the 2000s. Bama, Georgia, and and Clemson. And if we want to go before Southern Cal's run 03 to 08, whatever. But top 5 program in the 2000s, what are you seeing? What's going on in Clemson?
I got to be honest with you. The quarterback's not anywhere near as good as people wanted to make him out to be coming into this season. And he had a big year a year ago, and he started to come on, and he was kind of looking like he's turned the corner. But I don't know if he's a guy that elevates your program. Like, I don't know if he's a guy that can take one thing and then bring it up to the next level. I think kind of what you see is what you get. He's actually very similar to Shedeur Sanders. And so when that position wasn't as talented as you were hoping or thought it would be, obviously that has a ripple effect across the rest of your roster. I think the frustrating thing about that team is that for so long they had done such a good job dealing with success, meaning everybody's telling you how good you are. Yeah, well, we don't care. We're still hungry. Yeah, well, we don't care. We still got a chip on our shoulder. And we're going to go out and prove it each and every weekend. And this team doesn't have that mentality. This team has a bit of a we've arrived mentality and not the we still have to prove it mentality. And that's the first time in a long time I've seen that out of a Dabo Swinney coach team.
I just wonder where this is going. I mean, they're not going to fire him, but I wonder if he's getting to the point where he's like, I need a new spot. It's been a long time. You're right. Expectations are absurd, but they're ridiculous everywhere. And yes, you just nailed it, Luke's. He spoiled their fan base, but people want to, the people that are buying the $70,000 suites, they want to win. And and the club levels.
Keep in mind, you become so conditioned as a fan or a booster or a broker or a donator or whatever it is. You become so conditioned when things are going so good for so long to think that it's easy.
Right.
And what they don't realize, the outsiders looking in don't realize, is the more success you have, the harder it gets. Because now every little thing is more scrutinized. We have to be even better than we were before. There is no room for error. You're not allowed to have a slip up. Like when you're building the thing, you're allowed all of those things, but not anymore.
Tom Luganbill on the Out of Bounds show. Let's go to Hugh Freeze. If I would have told you that Freeze takes over Auburn and never gets the offense up and rolling, but DJ, well, you wouldn't have been surprised with this last part, but DJ Durkin holds dozens of teams to 20 to 24 points. What would you have said the fact that Freeze couldn't ever get this thing going, Luke's?
I would be very, very surprised. Very surprised. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's had a tremendous amount of offensive success everywhere he's been. And I don't buy into the garbage notion, it's a middle school offense, it's a high school offense. Really? Have you looked across college football and how many people are running that exact same offense that have all come off of some version of that tree, whether it's Rhett Lashley, whether it's Tony Elliott, whether it's Gus Malzahn. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of people that have been very successful offensively that are running that deal. I think what happened to them is, although they upgraded the talent, and he did do that because that is a far more talented team than the one that he took over. They couldn't quite get it right at quarterback. They paid the wrong people in the offensive line. And quite honestly, they were one of the most sloppy offensive football teams in college football this year. Heavily penalized, poor execution, bad assignment football. And that's the part that I think, everybody wants to talk about play calling, or they want to talk about the quarterback. Well, when you're committing 11, 12, 13 penalties a game, you can talk all you want about everything else, but that's where you start, right? When you're getting physically whipped up front by Kentucky, all right, it's hard to do anything on offense. And so, it's a variety of factors that go into it. And they never got that hump game, right? Like that game that kind of turns the corner for you. It just never came. And you can't say that was the Arkansas game. Because Arkansas has just gone downhill so fast and hasn't won a game since they fired Sam Pittman. So, it's tough, but I will say this. he forced the administration's hand. What happened on Saturday night cannot happen. You cannot lose to that team at home.
Right.
So this, I think going into last week, and I really believe this, and I think it was the correct line of thinking, is we have so many jobs that are open, it's oversaturated. We have so many people being talked about for these jobs, it's oversaturated. So going into last week, okay, prior to the Kentucky game, if you're Auburn and you're coming off of that Arkansas win, you might be thinking, hey, listen, let's ride this thing out until the next cycle. And if he ends up turning the corner, we're in the clear. If he doesn't, we're in a better position to be more attractive to whoever's out there, because right now, you're up against Florida. You're up against LSU. And so what is going to be an acceptable upgrade, all right, if you make that move? Now, I'm thinking this way before the Kentucky game. And that's why I said then the Kentucky game happens, and he forces the administration's hand. He's left him with no choice, and he knows that.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you. I think John Cohen was like, okay, if we win this weekend and there's some other W's, we can do what you just said, and we're going to stand pat, and we still have a coach that, like you said, has been able to do it before, so maybe he'll turn the corner. All right, we've talked about Jeff Levy and the struggle of last year, which was a disaster at 2-10. This year has looked different. They got a good win against Arizona State, and then they were up 2 touchdowns on Tennessee and Texas. So,
yeah,
they go to Arkansas, and you're right, Arkansas is not good, but for where this program is, they're down 2 touchdowns. Did you see any of the highlights of Camario Taylor and what he did? And then Blake Shapen is inserted back into the game, and he goes 8 for 12 for like $120 and a TD to finish it out, Luke's.
I thought it was a yeoman's effort. As you've mentioned, this team, and when you're trying to build it, you're trying to get the buy-in, and you're close. You're really close. And you're close, and your kids have been let down, but they kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then they get this win. I mean, you heard me just talk about kind of a hump win or that turning point. That could be Mississippi State this past weekend. You're down by 14. You've got to insert your backup quarterback. Your starting quarterback comes in, and then he rips off, a 75-yard drive, a 60-plus yard drive, a 40-plus yard drive to get you over the top and finish the game in the fourth quarter. I mean, what a statement for a bunch of kids that have had them heartbreakers this fall. And he's done a really good job, man. And listen, that job's harder than every other iteration of that job has ever been before, because of the current landscape of college football, right? Like everybody, not to get off point with Mississippi State, but it's a great example of the climate that we're in right now, Bo, because everybody wants to compare what Nick Saban did at LSU and what Les Miles did at LSU, and then Brian Kelly couldn't do that, or Jim Harbaugh did at Michigan, or Urban Meyer. You can't compare it, because those guys did not have to put it together in today's world. And it's a totally different animal. It's a totally different process. And so now Jeff Levy's having to do that. And so far, I think the returns are positive.
Yeah, huge win, regardless of where Arkansas is. And those 18 penalties for 193, man, Petrino, you got to give him, credit on that. Do you think that Urban Meyer would strongly consider coming out of retirement / media if the right job, and I know it's got to be a top 3 job, and we have one open in LSU, and a top 10 job in Florida, and a top 10 job in Penn State. But do you think that Urban Meyer drives around to and from work, his part-time deal, and thinks about coming back to coach at all, Luke?
I don't know how he can't think about it, but I also think that he's aware enough to know that it's not the game he left, right? And the process and the different nuances and variances of how you have to do it now, would all of that junk interest him, right? Because the playing field has been so leveled. And I say this each, I feel like I'm a broken record each and every week, but there's a reason why we keep seeing one possession games every week.
Which is awesome.
It is awesome. It's great for college football, but it's also a message that is telling everybody, to do what Nick Saban did again, to do what Urban Meyer did at Florida and Ohio State again, it's probably not likely. It's probably not going to happen, because if you don't do it in 2 or 3 years, as we're seeing right now, you're done. And so you have to ask the question with Urban Meyer, do you want to deal with that at your age? You have all the money you could ever possibly ask for, generational wealth. You're having fun doing the media stuff. The only job that I might say that could potentially entice him is if any of that rumor mill stuff is legit with Sark. That Texas job could be something that I would think he would give a long look at.
Okay, and I think Tom Luganbill's referencing the NFL rumors about.
Yeah,
I've always thought Lane and Sark would love to get back in the NFL. They're both rolling right now, but the NFL, you don't have to deal with any of the headaches that Luke's just rolled through, because the general manager in that whole division just gives you your team and then you coach it. So, okay, I want to go. Let's go through some quick hit power rankings with Tom Luganbill right here on the Out of Bounds Show. Brought to you by Martin's and Livingston, Stella Artois and Wings. That is a winning combo. All right, Tom Luganbill, as we're marching into November, who are the 3 or 4 best teams in the country today that you believe can go all the way through the gauntlet and withstand maybe a few more injuries like everybody's going to have and be there in the end?
I believe that we could be looking at a scenario where you have Ohio State and Indiana, Alabama and A&M both playing the conference championship game, yet all 4 teams are still top 4 seeds.
Wow.
Barring a blowout in one of those games, which I don't think that you would have that with how those 4 teams are playing right now, those 4 have clearly separated themselves from everybody else right now. And while I like Georgia, just keeps turning up like a bad penny. Ole Miss controls everything right in front of them. They can't avoid. They got to avoid a November slip up like they had a year ago. Obviously you've got Oregon there lingering.
How good's Oregon? Real quick.
I think they're really good. I really do. But I also don't think the Big Ten 10 is worth a damn. I mean, look at it. I mean, you have way more competitive balance in the ACC than you have in the Big Ten. Right now, you've got an SMU, a Duke, a Louisville, a Virginia, a Georgia Tech. I'm probably missing somebody, but got teams that could all knock somebody out, right? The Big Ten doesn't have that. Right. And so, but I do think Oregon's very, very good. They're athletic and they're explosive. They can play up front. But then, you've got the teams like the BYUs and the Texas Techs, right? And look at the Texas Longhorns right now. If they finish 10-2, they're in.
Yeah.
Because right now, Arch Manning is playing lights out.
And they play at Georgia next weekend.
Yep.
So
it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. All right. People think that Georgia's going to blow out Mississippi State. It's an 11. Talk to me real quick. You've called games at 11 a.m. and you've called games at 9 o'clock at night. Okay. So real quick here. Georgia knows they have more talent. I don't know if they're going to be interested getting on a plane on Friday, going to Starkville, quick hit, 11 a.m. game. They just came off a physical game against Florida, which they kind of woke up just to win. So walk me through. Would you be shocked, or Bo? No, I wouldn't be surprised if Mississippi State was within a score with 7 minutes to left in the fourth quarter Saturday.
Wouldn't be surprised one bit. Would not be surprised one bit. I don't care if that game's at 11 a.m., which actually might help Mississippi State, right? I don't care if that game's at night. We all know what it is and have experienced being backed up in the closed end zone with the cowbells. I think field position is going to play a huge part of that game, because you want to get that involved when you're Mississippi State on defense. The thing with Georgia is they just find a way, right? Like, there's nothing special about them. You don't get wowed. You respect them and appreciate them because they are really good, and what they have kind of been is fairly consistent. But I think that just as we've seen, if you get into the fourth quarter with them, And we've seen that for 2 weeks in a row now with Mississippi State. Who's to say they can't do it at home?
Right. All right, I want to throw a game out at you that a team that you just referenced could be walking into a little bit of a buzzsaw too. Georgia may be with Mississippi State. Oregon going on the road to Iowa. And the way that Iowa loves to play 13 to 10 games and play, I know they don't believe in offense, but my God, on defense they've been really good. Could they be walking into a little bit of a buzzsaw this weekend?
I don't think there's any question. I don't know if you've ever been there, but Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City is a really difficult place to play.
Okay.
I mean, it is loud. They are right on top of you. Got a little bit, without the cowbells, a little bit the same feel of Starkville a little bit. And they really know how to handle a home game environment. And you got to go back and look at that Iowa-Indiana game. Remember, Indiana did not – it's the only game Indiana hasn't gone and boat raced everybody on offense. And they had to score a touchdown late to win the game 2015. So, I think there's probably some lessons in that game that Oregon can draw from. But, yeah, I would be concerned. The question is, athlete for athlete, could they hold? I mean, if Oregon got a 2-touchdown lead, can Iowa crawl out of a hole? And I think we all know the answer is probably not.
Okay. What, man, is this season crazy or what?
It's unbelievable. And I love every ounce of it. I really felt heavily that coming into the season that it was something you could kind of see coming, and you knew, like, all right, if you have a quarterback, if the talent's leveled out everywhere else, then you're going to be in a lot of one-possession games. I mean, look at Virginia, for crying out loud. All right? They've had 4 games that have gone down to the last minute and 3 overtime games. They've won every single one of them.
Unbelievable.
They are the 2025 version of TCU. Remember, TCU did the exact same thing in 2022.
That's right. And Tony Elliott was all but fired. And he
did a great job getting transfer portal. He did an unbelievable job.
Yeah. I looked last night and I can't remember where the quarterback's from. It was somewhere obscure. North Texas or something.
No, it's Chandler Morris. It's Chad Morris's son.
Oh, okay. Boom.
Yeah.
There it is. Tom Luganbill, we appreciate it, my man. We'll talk next week, okay?
All right. Thanks, buddy. See you.
Tom Luganbill, part of ESPN's college football team. Just on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Brought to you by Mills Contracting, assisted living facilities, renovating state parks, community centers in Starkville, and strip malls anywhere and everywhere. Mills Contracting is right there in Gluckstadt. Matt Mills and the team, over 35 years of construction experience, GC experience. Call them today. Mills Contracting. Thanks for listening to the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. And don't forget lunch today, Burgers Blues Barbecue. Chicken fried chicken is the blue plate, plus they have smash burgers. It's in Dogwood, Flowood. Burgers Blues Barbecue, B3, Dogwood, Flowood. We'll see you tomorrow.